In a league with 30 franchises, you could confidently say that every single fan of theirs has their own preferences. But if there's one thing that every single NBA supporter can agree on, it's how bad the referees can be. You could probably make a 2-hour-long video with just the controversial calls that have happened this season. But instead, how about we explore the most ridiculous decisions that referees have ever made in the history of the league? I'm sure that you'll be shocked at how crazy some of these are. What better way to start this video than with the most controversial playoff series of all time? The 2002 Western Conference Finals between the Kings and the Lakers. Legend has it that the NBA did everything in their power to rig the games in the Lakers' favor. Now, I'll let you be the judge of that one down in the comments. But if there's one play that symbolizes what happened, it's this one.
So Ito Turkoglu is able to hit on the drive, and here's Christie on the foul once again. Kobe Bryant will go to the line.
Kobe Bryant ran over Mike Bibby.
But just look at this replay. Kobe hits Mike in the face with his elbow. Unless defending with your face is illegal in this league, this should have been a pretty clear offensive foul on Kobe. I don't know what the referees were doing in 2002, but in those same playoffs, another crazy mistake would take place. Imagine hitting the best shot of your entire career and seeing it get waved off just because the referees didn't feel like counting it? Well, this is what happens to Baron Davis, who hits this buzzer beater against the Magic to give the win to the Charlotte Hornets. What's crazy is that every single person in the arena that day knew that he released the ball in time. Well, except for the refs. And guess what? Just to give an idea of how bad this call was, this was the play that introduced instant replay to the league. Unfortunately, more than 2 decades later, referees' decisions are still as incomprehensible as before, if not even more than what we knew. Now, we can all see that on the court, adrenaline can quickly go up, and players have to show emotions. I'm not saying that it needs to get to the level that it reached back during Malice in the Palace, but still, when we see players like Tatum getting a technical foul for clapping too loudly, we need to start asking serious questions about where our game is going. It seems like referee Joey Crawford has a talent when it comes to making bad decisions on the fly. It's Game 5 of the playoffs between the Suns and the Blazers. Steve Nash is trying to get the ball up to initiate the offense when the whistle is blown.
Into this game.
Okay. Nash, foul away from the ball. Roy, possibly, yes. It's going to be on Roy, and that is his... No, it's on Campbell. Equally as damaging for Portland. Let's take a look.
All right. Nash is shooting, so let's see if Nash is the one that gets fouled.
That is a 4th foul in the playoffs. Are you kidding me?
And Nash shouldn't be on the line.
And for those who don't realize how big this phantom call was, this was actually the 4th call called on Camby, which meant that Portland's coach immediately subbed him out, and that led to the total collapse of this Trailblazers team. In today's game, it seems like every little showing of emotion is enough to warrant a technical foul from one of the referees. From hanging on too much to the rim or taunting the opponents, you're bound to get one called on you. Now, you might think that the solution is just not to react at all, but even then, just like what had happened to DeJounte Murray here, even not doing anything can get you teed up.
Tony Brothers was trying to talk to DeJounte Murray there, and he blew him off, and then he went, okay, you don't want to talk.
To be fair, he was going against Tony Brothers, who's known to have quite a big ego on the court. And it seems like getting ignored by Murray just wasn't to his liking. One thing to keep in mind is that when you're a superstar, you get superstar calls.
Watch where the shot is taken, Ian. Damian Lillard is well inside the arc. Right. And Benny Adams raised the arm. They gave him 3 points.
I know that Dame is usually one to pull up from deep, but when you're that close to the guy, it becomes a bit ridiculous. Would a referee mistake video be completed without one of the most iconic missed calls of the 2010s? In the middle of a big regular season game, where the Super Team Warriors were against the only opponent that could realistically stop them, one of the craziest out-of-bound calls happened. You have Kevin Durant taking not 1, not 2, but 3 steps out of bounds before passing the ball in, with a referee standing less than 10 feet from him and staring at him. As we all know, ball don't lie. And despite this being the potential nail in the coffin in a tight overtime game, James Harden would come on the other side and drill the step-back three-pointer to win the game for the Rockets. James Harden seems to always get the short stick when it comes to these weird referee calls. In one random Rockets vs Spurs game, Harden would intercept a pass and find himself with a free path toward the rim. He wanted to do something special, so he went for the dunk. What happened is that he scored the ball, but it also happened to go around the rim another time, making it seem like it was a miss. In real time, you could potentially see how the refs can be mistaken, but them not acknowledging their mistake after the replay is where one has to draw the line. Next up, we have another denied 3-point buzzer beater. But this time, this has to be one of the most perplexing basketball decisions ever made on a court.
Ross, oh my goodness gracious, and we're going to overtime.
At first, Terrence Ross's shot seems all good. He and his teammates celebrate before the refs go towards the review screens. And they decided to dismiss the shot, because there had been a shot clock malfunction. And what's worse than this, is that instead of giving them the ball back and replaying the out of bounds with the correct amount of time on the clock, which is what happens 99% of the time, they decided to just end the game right there. Quite a tough loss for the Raptors fans to live with. The next entry has to be the biggest what if in NBA history. You all remember the iconic Michael Jordan shot in Game 6 of the 1998 Finals to win it all for the Bulls, right? Well, what if I said that it should have never happened? And no, I'm not talking about any potential push-off. All the way back in the second quarter, Howard Ealsley was called for a shot clock violation on a totally valid three-pointer. This would mean that come the fourth quarter, the game would have been so out of reach that the Jazz should have won it. Well, who knows really, but I'm sure that to this day, the Jazz are still haunted by this crazy mistake. Want another controversial decision made for the Warriors? Look no further. We all know how Draymond Green plays, and the questionable reputation that he has. But sometimes, he goes a bit too far, even by his own standards. In Game 3 of the series against the Thunder, Green got a bit too frustrated and decided to kick Steven Adams in the groin. Let's all be honest, if there's any play that deserves a flagrant 2, it has to be this one. Not all calls are created equal. Sometimes they stop teams from winning games, and others can save a man's dignity and honor. And in this case, Michael Kidd-Gilchrist better have gone to the refs afterwards to thank them for lessening the humiliation. The dunk in itself will forever live. I mean, look at the reaction of MKG's own bench in the background. All of the guys knew that Michael had just been baptized by the 35-year-old Richard Jefferson. But at the same time, you couldn't help but feel a sour taste in your mouth when you realized that this play got called an offensive foul on RJ. I could agree that some dunks come with a foul, but here, the only offense that Richard has done is humiliating a grown man on national television. Some plays can only happen once in NBA history, because the controversy that comes afterwards is too big, that the league starts making sure that this type of mistake doesn't happen again. One example is this crazy moment in the fourth quarter between the Nets and the Wizards. In a crucial moment in the game, one of the Nets assistant coaches intercepts the ball, stopping the Wizards offense and giving his team another opportunity to attack. And the craziest part in all of this is that the referees just let it happen. No reaction, no stoppage of play, and no technical foul. It was as if the bench intervening in a basketball game was normal. How about we close this video with a call straight from these playoffs? This should help you understand that referee mistakes are not a thing of the past. In Game 3 of the first round between the Suns and the Wolves, Rudy Gobert would find himself in a fast break situation. But the thing is that good old Rudy just isn't a guy built for offense. So he would end up traveling all the way to France before scoring his bucket. The entire Suns bench would jump asking for the call. But once again, it seems like the refs just didn't see it. At the end of the day, no matter how much people complain and how many controversies happen, this is unfortunately one of the problems that just cannot be solved. Just remember, the referees are human beings, and mistakes are bound to happen. Every single team will have calls made for them and others against them, so you'll just have to live with it.